Yo, 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 yo. What's going down? What's happening? What's popping? It's your dog Toddy checking in with a live stream for your A double S. What's good, people? How we doing? How we feeling, man? Sunday night. A very cold night here in Georgia, but y'all know I like to tell y'all about the weather. I don't like this weather. I really was enjoying these unseasonably warm January days that we were having. You know, it was in the 70s here. It was pushing 80s a couple of days. I was really enjoying that weather, man. And it rained, and then the cold front came in. So now we back in the 40s. Um, which I truly despise. I truly despise cold weather. I'm a hot weather cat. But it is what it is. It's Mother's Nature. So what can I do about it, right? What can I do about it? Yeah, so we're gonna come in here. We ain't gonna stay long tonight. We're gonna talk a little Falcons football. What's going on in Flowery Branch? We're gonna talk about that. And whatever y'all want to talk about, we'll talk about. Um, as we know, getting straight to the business. Matt Ryan was named president of football operations for the Atlanta Falcons. I hadn't used my signboard in so long I forgot what to use for the cheer, but let's do a golf clap for Matt. Congratulations on the Iceman for that. Major move for Matt Ryan. That's a very important position. Based on what Arthur Blake told us, the coach, whoever the head coach is going to be, I don't know who's going to head coach will be at this point. But the head coach and whoever the general manager going to be, I don't know who that's going to be either. They will report directly to Mr. President, as they was calling him today on CBS Sports. They will report directly to Mr. President, and Mr. President, Matt Ryan, will report directly to Arthur Blake. And they say Rich McKay is out the picture. We're going to see how long that lasts. Y'all know Rich McKay going to try to find a way to weasel himself back into those meetings. So we shall see how that's going to play itself out. So we're going to start on that tonight. Is that a good idea? Let's start there. Is that a good idea? Let's do a quick virtual Wikipedia biography on Matt Ryan. He's originally from the I think it's the Metro Philadelphia area. Y'all can feel free to fact check me on that. Philadelphia area, and of course he went to Boston College, a pretty prestigious college, and he played in the ACC. As y'all know, he was drafted by our Atlanta Falcons back in 2008, won Rookie of the Year. He got his team into the playoffs the very first year with an 11-5 record. We lost to the Arizona Cardinals, won an MVP, went to a Super Bowl. He basically holds all Falcons passing records. It goes without saying, y'all know we're in the social media era, and one of the trendy things still on social media is to create your Mount Rushmore. So he is definitely a one of the 4 Mount Rushmore members of the Atlanta Falcons, without a doubt. If your Mount Rushmore does not include Matt Ryan on it, it's invalid. I'm just gonna say that you got to put the Iceman on your Mount Rushmore, no matter how you might feel about him. He's definitely a Falcons Mount Rushmore. So needless to say, he's one of our greats. He's one of our Falcons legends. He immediately went into the Ring of Honor the very next season after he retired. And the resume in Atlanta speaks for themselves. He took our franchise and he lifted us to heights that we had never seen before. And when I say never seen before, we had never hosted a conference championship game in Atlanta, and we actually won it, and we raised that trophy in Atlanta, and that was a great feeling. That was a great feeling. And he was a big part of that. He had a excellent game So that's on paper the kind of person that you want to bring into your front office. And one thing about Matt Ryan during his playing career, make no mistake about it, he wasn't super athletic. He didn't run a 4.5 or 4.4 at the NFL Combine or his pro day. Um, he obviously didn't have the strongest arm. He caught a lot of criticism about that from some in the Falcons fan base and some outside of the Falcons fan base. He didn't have a real big arm, but he had a very long and pretty successful career in the NFL. You don't win MVP and you don't go to a Super Bowl by mistake. You're a damn good football player. So the point I'm making when I say that is a big part of Matt Ryan's longevity and his success in the NFL and what the Falcons wasn't due to his athletic, his natural raw athleticism. Not having a big arm, not being like a super athletic quarterback, but he was smart and he worked very, very hard. Very cerebral, very, very smart quarterback, very smart. So what he lacked in athleticism, he made up in football intelligence. And it's obvious that he's very, very smart, very intelligent, and he knows football. If you guys have been watching him on CBS these last 3 years, he has displayed that a lot. Like, he knows the game. He knows the game in and out. And that really propelled him, to be one of the better quarterbacks of his era. To be one of the better quarterbacks of his era, his work ethic, him studying the film, studying his opponents, it really helped him out a lot. So on paper, that is the type of person that you want to have in your front office. And that's one thing that Arthur Blank has been criticized about a great deal. People say that he don't have like any real football guys around him. And you would think Rich McKay is a football guy. Rich McKay comes from a football background. He's been around football more than half of his life. So you would think he is a football guy. But with all the losing, the consistent losing that our Falcons have been doing, Rich McKay's name has really become mud. Falcons fans, we don't agree on a whole lot, but the consensus is like people don't really like Rich McKay. They don't like Rich McKay. So, you Arthur Blank for like the third time pulls Rich McKay out the way, and you got to get somebody in there to replace him. So Matt Ryan was brought in as president of football operations to replace Rich McKay. But is that a good idea? That's the question I want to start with. Is that a good idea? Matt Ryan is still young, still a young man. He's only 40 years old. Especially in his position, you generally will have older guys in that position, and he doesn't have any experience. So he has no experience in that role. Is it a good idea? That's the question of the night. Is that a good idea? I'm going to give y'all my opinion. You obviously see the thumbnail. You obviously have read the caption by this time. Is that a good idea? This is my opinion on y'all. Don't take it the wrong way. Remember, it's just my opinion. It's one person's opinion. It's not the gospel, but I'm going to give it to you. I think it's a damn good idea. I don't see any reasons why it's a bad idea at this point. I don't. This franchise changes needed to be made. And you got Matt, a guy here who loves this franchise, who loves this city, who was one of the more tenured players in franchise history. I think Mike Ken and Jeff Van Note, I think they have the most tenure, but Matt Ryan is right there with them. Loves the Atlanta Falcons, loves the Atlanta Braves. And I remember when he got traded to the Colts and he was doing like his media rounds or whatever, acclimating himself to the Colts franchise and their fans. He was doing a media tour right after the trade. He went on Pat McAfee's show. And I remember Pat McAfee. I don't remember the question verbatim, but they were talking about all the talent that Matt would have around him, the offensive line, and Pat McAfee was like, Matt, hey, this has to be the most talented group of guys you played with, I assume, right? And Matt Ryan really was supposed to be on cue and say, yeah, it is, and then talk about all the talent in the Colts. And Matt said, I gotta say the 2012 Atlanta Falcons team was the most talented team that I played on. And this is right after a very controversial trade. And again, he's supposed to be doing his media tour for the Colts, but you're like, no, shout out to everybody in Indianapolis, but the 2012 Falcons, that's the most talented team I played on. But that just goes to show how much love that he has for the team. And I also remember when he was traded, and he wrote on his social media like his goodbye letter to Falcons fans, and you could just tell through that letter, like that man bled Atlanta Falcons. He bled them Dirty Birds. He bled Atlanta. He was entrenched in this city, or in the city of Atlanta. So the point I'm really trying to make is, not only do you bring somebody in with a football mind, you bring somebody in who has a passion for the Falcons. The passion for it is, it's not just about the paycheck, is what I'm trying to say. And shout out to everybody who's worked in the Falcons front office before. Rich McKay, most recently Terry Fontenot, Thomas Dimitrov, all those guys, Scott Pioli, all those guys. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they didn't have that same passion for the Falcons that Matt had. It's more than just a check. And I'm not trying to say them guys didn't try to do the best that they could in regards to the job they had in front of them, but that same kind of passion and love for the team, it wasn't there. Because they weren't drafted by the Falcons. They didn't go to Flowery Branch, every late spring and go to training camp. They just didn't have that same passion in there. I don't think their kids were born in Atlanta. Matt Ryan is from Philadelphia, but all his kids are from Atlanta. All his kids are from Georgia. So he made his bones and raised his family here. Even when he got traded to Indianapolis, he didn't call his realtor in and put his house for sale. Like, no, this my city, this my home, this is where I'm gonna stay. We just gonna have to get on these flights and go to Indianapolis. But I love it here. I love it here. And he's a big supporter of the. You can tell he's more of a baseball guy than a basketball guy. He do show the Hawks some love, but he's a big baseball fan. He's a big fan of the Braves. He's always showing them some love. He has a good relationship with Chipper Jones, and him and Freddie Freeman are boys. Even though Freddie plays for the Dodgers now, but that's another story. Freddie Freeman should have never left Atlanta, but don't get me started on that, bro. Don't get me started. Let me not go there. But it's the passion. It's the passion, man. It's the passion. It's just like if any one of y'all got hired by an NFL team, being Falcons fans, the paycheck would be nice, but if the Falcons hired you, it's different because that's your team. You're gonna have a certain level of passion for the Falcons because that's your team. And that's how he's approaching the job. So just to reiterate my stance, my perspective, my opinion, I think it's a great idea. Again, this team, this franchise needs a new direction, man. Like you can't keep losing. I mean, theoretically you can, but you really can't. You can't. What's this, 8 consecutive losing seasons? I think we've been losing so long, I've kind of lost count. But you got to find a way to get his team back on the right track, and I think he's the best guy for the job at this point in time. So shout out to the Iceman. Please, Matt, help get us on the right track, man. We need to start back winning. Just like y'all, I'm sure I watched a lot of the playoff games here this weekend, and I'm watching these teams, and I'm just wishing my team was on TV and I'm able to watch my team play in the playoffs. I wish I had more of a vested interest in the teams that were playing today. Unfortunately for me, unfortunately for us, unfortunately for the Atlanta Falcons, here we are again in January, and we're not in the playoffs, and we need to change that. So that is a good avenue. I think Matt Ryan is a good person for the job, and I'm hopefully he'll get in there and help turn this team around. He's going to be heavily involved in a head coach search and a general manager search and so on and so forth. So, I'm anticipating that whoever the new GM is and whoever the new head coach is, as I tell y'all a lot, I'm not as opinionated in that as I am in players themselves, but whoever they pick as a new head coach, whoever they pick as the new GM, they're gonna have my support till they don't have my support. So hopefully the new front staff, the new coaching staff, they could come in very quickly and put a positive imprint on this franchise and get the Atlanta Falcons back to winning. We need to start back winning. You just cannot keep losing, man. We're approaching a decade of consecutive losing seasons, and it's not fun as a fan. So I'm excited about the changes. I'm looking forward to seeing how our new front office and our new coaching staff will more will round itself out. And defensive coordinator Jeff Olbrich, I saw on the internet that the Dallas Cowboys requested to interview him, and Arthur Blank and Atlanta Falcons gave them the Matumbo finger, said no, 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 you're not finna interview our guy. So maybe Jeff Olbrich stays around, maybe he doesn't. We shall see. But I do think it's a good idea. Now, what I don't think is a good idea, I'm gonna give y'all both sides. I'll give y'all both sides. Y'all know me. I can't give you too much like good cherry blossom, energy. I gotta have a yin and a yang. Now, what I don't think is a good idea, and this is something that I have seen posted a lot on the internet. Now that Matt Ryan has a job, now I'm starting to see people say, "Hey, well, you should bring," and no disrespect to these guys, but you should bring Muhammad Sanu in to be the wide receivers coach, or you need to bring Roddy White in to be the coach. Or bring in this, bring Julio back, and bring this former Falcons back in to coach the running backs. No, let's not do that, because then it becomes a joke. We don't need to do this whole get the band back together and bring back a bunch of past Falcons players and try to make them coaches. No. Let's not go down that road. One Falcons legend presently is more than enough. We don't need a bunch of guys in here who's never done these jobs before. We don't need that. So much love and respect to Muhammad Sanu. I've met him once and seen him on another occasion at a game during an appearance for the Falcons. Nothing but respect for him, but no, let's not go there. Roddy White, that's my all-time favorite Falcon. I know a lot of fans, Matt Ryan is your favorite player, or Michael Vick is your favorite player, Dion is your favorite player, and a lot of these young baby Falcons, the younger generation, their favorite player is Bijan. But Roddy is my guy. I don't even want Roddy in the building as a coach. Like, if you want to be like a unofficial consultant, you want to come and training camp and talk to the guys, yeah, we welcome that. But giving these guys official jobs on the coaching staff, that's what we don't need. We don't need this boys to men reunion. We don't need to bring the band back together. None of that stuff. Let's hire from this point forward. Let's hire guys with experience who've been in these positions before, experienced coaches. Let's try to get guys with proven resumes, but we don't need to bring all these old Falcons in and give them checks. No, we don't need none of that. So let's go ahead and kill that narrative of bringing Julio, Roddy, and Sanu and Devontae and Jarius Norwood and Brian. I seen some people mention Brian Finneran. No, we don't need to do that. Let these guys, Brian Fenneran, I think does a pretty good job in radio. Let him stay in radio right now. If he wants to be a coach, start at the lower ranks, work your way up, just like people normally do. But we don't need all these old Falcons in our front office, on our coaching staff. No, no, no. I'm pushing back on all of that. Anytime I see it posted somewhere, I'm pushing back on it. Like, y'all stop. Like, because then that's when it becomes a joke. That's when you really can't take the Falcons serious if you're trying to get the 2016 squad back together. Well, yeah, man, we didn't win on the field, so let's win it in the front office. No, we're not going down that road at all. So, let's cut that out. Again, congratulations to Matt Ryan. Best of luck. I feel like and I hope he does an excellent job, and he does get this team to the promised land. I'm definitely going to be rooting for him. I think a lot of Falcons fans are going to be rooting for him. And again, whoever the new coaching staff is, the new GM, we all get behind them, and let's just wish them well. Because that's how I give all the staff. Anytime we hire a new general manager, or coach, or whatever, I'm gonna get behind them until I'm no longer behind them. I'm gonna get whoever they hire, whether that be Harbaugh or Kubiak or John Smith, whoever they hire, you got my support until you no longer have my support. Same goes for the general manager. So that's why I'm at with it. Good choice to bring Matt in, but a bad idea to try to bring all these other former players in. We do not need that. Let them stay where they're at and just bring them in for whenever we have the Falcons Legends Day, whenever we do. So it is what it is. Let's hop in these comments real quick, see what y'all saying, man. But y'all let me know in the comment section, man. Like, do you think Matt Ryan's gonna do well in this new position, or do you think it's a bad idea? Now, sound off. If you don't think it's a good idea, put that in the comments. Tell me why. We'll talk about it. So I want y'all opinion on that as well. I told y'all what I think. I want to know what y'all think also. So let's hop in the comment section real quick. Shout out to my guy MVM 1978 in this thing. What's going on with you, man? Matt McGrath with their rig Super Bowl took from him and us. He will right the ship. Let's effing go in ATL. We trust. Shout out to you, MVM, and I agree with you. If Elway can or Lynch, Ryan can possibly do just as good or better. I definitely hope so, MVM. I'm rooting for him, bro. I'm definitely rooting for him. Jay Black in the house. What's going on, Jay Black? How you doing? We got our dog, Jay. And again, I do not like the new way these names are set up. But JTCDM369, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you coming in. As usual, man, I hope you had a good weekend. T-Dub in the house says, sup, Todd, I think it's a great hire. I do as well. I think it's a great hire as well. Jade on the game. Good evening. Good evening to you, Jade. What's happening? BN_Nico in the building. Bro, you look like you're in the Arctic. You ain't cold as shit. I feel like I'm in the Arctic, man. Like I can't stand this weather, man. I don't like this cold weather. I'm ready for like March to get here. I'm ready for it to be 80 degrees. I'm ready for the 90-degree humidity back to come back, bro. I'm ready for spring and I'm ready for summer. I can't stand this cold weather, bro. I cannot express that enough to you guys. I do not like cold weather. I'm telling y'all, if I was rich or if I was well off or wealthy, I wouldn't be in Georgia right now. I would be somewhere in the Caribbean where it's 90 degrees right now, man. I would not be nowhere where it's cold. I cannot stand cold weather. I cannot. Shout out to the coach's corner in the house. What's going on with your coach? He said, damn, December baby. Coach, I'm a December baby, man, and that's what's odd about it. I was born in December and in the cold weather month, but don't like the weather at all, man. Gizmo in the house. What's up? One of the Combat Kings. Shout out to you, Gizmo. Daniel Beard Sports highlights in the building. What's up, Daniel? How you doing, man? Appreciate you coming in as usual. MVM said I just got back in. What up, Tyler? What's happening, MVM? King Atlanta support is in the house. What's going on, King? How we doing, bro? What's popping? MVM says, what's your title? This is a wonderful idea. And Matt, we trust. And Matt, we trust. Miss B in the house. What's going on with you, Miss B? Appreciate you popping in. And y'all make sure to check out Miss B. She is back online making her great Falcons content. So y'all make sure to show her a bunch of love. JTCDM says Matt knows how to win. Former MVP, quarterback as president is great for a franchise that can't get the quarterback position right. Matt brings that get F and set mentality. We will be in good hands. I hope so, and I think so as well. And you're right, that does give that gives a quarterback's eye on a position that we really need to hit on. We need to hit on the quarterback position. We still have Michael Penix in tow. He's currently a question mark. We don't know what he will be or what he won't be. But the good thing about bringing Matt in while Penix is still in his young, inexperienced developmental phase is not only can Matt Ryan, and this is what I like about it. I'm glad you brought this point up. Not only is Matt Ryan our president, but he can now serve as a mentor to Penix, quarterback coach to Penix. He's in the building every single day, even at practice. You know what I'm saying? Even at practice, he can step in. Hey, man, like, you see the safety. When the safety coming here, your eyes should be here, or when you see that two-man high set, you should already anticipate this blitz is coming. You just give everything from a quarterback's point of view. And we already talked about Matt Ryan's football intelligence. So that's something that can really, really help Penix out a great deal. And I'm sure before Matt got his job, I'm sure that Matt and Michael Penix, they have each other's numbers, and Penix could probably always call or text him for advice or suggestions. But it's different when the guy's in the building every single day with you. That's invaluable. So not only is he's our president, also mentor, quarterback coach, so that's another big bonus. MVM says what he said on CBS was nothing more than class act. Thankful for him coming back home. Yeah, I watched the pregame show today, and you could tell like they were happy for Matt, but sad to see him go. Happy for him, sad to see him go. Matt was all smiles today. Obviously he was proud of the position that he's about to take in Atlanta. But that was a good noble moment on TV. So that was a good show to watch. His last show on CBS. And I'm glad that obviously that he, initially there were reports coming out that he was going to try to do them both. And when I heard that, I'm like, no, can't do that now. You got to be in or you got to be out, man. If you're gonna be the president, you got to be the president full time. You can't be moonlighting, being a president and then also work your CBS gig. We need all hands on deck, especially with the Falcons. We need to get this ship back right. So I'm glad to know that he will be here full time. Diva's in the building. What's going on, Diva? Long time no see. Hope you're doing good. Hope you had a good Christmas. Hey, Todd, I predicted this years ago. I told you AB was going to have Matt Ryan in a future leadership position. I think I do remember you saying something like that. And you were absolutely correct. So good call on your part. Great call on your part. And it looks like the majority of the fan base is all for it. So that's a great thing. MVM says I had that shirt made, get F and set. I remember seeing some t-shirts when that now famous moment happened on TV. See, JT says here we are in January looking for a coach again. Yeah, man. Like we got to get out of this pattern every 2 to 3 years looking for a coach, because that automatically means your team is struggling, your franchise is struggling, you're not building any continuity, and that's not a good thing. You need continuity in football. So let's get on the right track. Let's make sure we hire the right coach, hire the right general manager, hire the right talent evaluators, and everything of that nature. MVM says I have seen highlights of the games, but I haven't watched Football is over for me till next season. Yeah. Oh man, you missed out on them, man. There was some good games on this weekend, boy. Man, this has been one of the better playoff weekends that I can remember in a long time, man. Every single game was competitive, man, and they pretty much all came down to the last drive. So some great football. At first I was a little, I ain't gonna say worried because football is football to me. But I thought a little bit, well, this is gonna be like the first season that you ain't got Mahomes in there and you ain't got Lamar in there in a real long time. So how is this gonna play out? And it played out well. Great games, great games. Even that Carolina game, we don't really like the Panthers, but the Panthers went in there and they put up a hell of a fight. And you could argue the Panthers should have won that game. They probably should have won that game. But man, they gave the Rams everything that the Rams could handle, man, and that went down to the last drive. So yeah, you missed some good football today, bro, and yesterday. Miss Lisa in a bit. How you doing, Lisa? Hope you had a good weekend. Says this is very important offseason for the franchise. I agree. This is a critical offseason for the franchise. We got to get a lot of things right. The front office, coach staff, free agency, the draft. So a lot of work to do. Definitely a lot of work to do. Diva says I'm not mad that we're making the change in the head coach and general manager and clean house, remove Richmond K from the overall picture, set an entire new coach in Atlanta. I'm not mad either. I'm not mad about it either. Because changes needed to be made. We can't keep losing. We needed to kind of break some things down and rebuild. Again, they say they're moving Richmond K out. We just got to make sure we don't let the weasel back in. I need to stop, man. Like, we be talking so bad about Richmond K, man, and I don't know. JT said friends are harder to fire. They are harder to fire. That's why you don't need all these former players back in there and all that stuff like that, man. Like, just let's move past that. Eric said the Cowboys are after Jeff Ulbrich. I saw that, and that's so we blocked their request to interview them. Also, I like when we be paired with the Cowboys, even though the Cowboys are not in our division. I don't like the Cowboys. Definitely don't like their maniac ass fans. They really get on my nerves. I'm gonna tell you, I might have told y'all the story before, but I went to Kroger. This was a few years ago. Went to Kroger. I think I had a Falcons hat on. And I'm walking through Kroger, I'm trying minding my business, going in and get my groceries or whatever. And then out of nowhere, somebody said, Falcons hat. I can't believe you got that on in public. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm in Georgia. Like, why wouldn't I have a Falcons hat on? The Falcons is like, y'all garbage, y'all trash. And they was going, y'all, I'm sure y'all experience it too sometimes. And then come to find out they Cowboys fans. I'm like, Cowboys, y'all ain't worn them before the internet came out. Like, what are you talking about? Like, y'all really ain't that much. But, well, we got Super Bowl. We didn't get to the Super Bowls and blow our Super Bowl. Typical Cowboys fans just talking nonsense. And this year, our year, y'all know how they go. T-Dub said, you're right, Tyler, but you're not a lawyer blank is. Yeah, that's what has me worried. Will Arthur Blank's old traditional ways get the best of them? I hope not. Davis is right in my guy too. I like Sanu too. Yes, don't have a quarterback as wide receiver coach. Let's do it right this time. Absolutely. Could not agree more. Coach says, so what's the difference in Clint Kubiak and them? Like, what do you mean, Coach, when you say what's the difference? Explain that statement a little bit better for me so I know exactly what you mean. Wade Williamson, no more nepotism in Atlanta. Yeah, I think what we got now is enough. Let's not hire no more friends or buddies or anything like that. Also, let me quelch a barbershop rumor. I still see this. I still see people on the internet saying Arthur Blank hired his son-in-law. Like, where did that come from? Like, anybody who is not aware, Matt Ryan and Arthur Blank they're not related by marriage. Like, Matt Ryan's wife is not related to Arthur Blank. I don't know where that rumor started at, but almost 20 years later, it's still here. Matt Ryan's wife and Arthur Blank, they have no relation. They come from different parts of the world. There's no relation there. To me, that's just one of the barbershop rumors that got started and it just took off on his own. So anybody who's still saying that almost 20 years later, I don't know what it takes for that rumor to die out. Michael Bush's sound went out. Oh, my bad. And y'all still hear me? I might be behind on the comments. I hope my sound is all right. My sound is out. Y'all let me know. JT says it won't be Harbaugh. I saw something today, JT, that said, and you might be right. I'm not disputing your statement, but there was a report that came out today that said Harbaugh's two preferred destinations are the Falcons and the Giants. If I had to bet, if somebody say, hey, man, you got to bet $30 on what team you think Harbaugh going to go to, I would bet the Giants. I don't think he's going to come to Atlanta for various reasons. But it is good to know that, at least he's possibly considering the Falcons. But I see him in New York. He seems like a New York type coach. Mega market, big city, big endorsement potential. I see him going to New York. So that's probably where he will end up. Real Daddy, what's up? I read the Harbaugh top two is the teams of the Falcons. Yeah, yep. That's what I just said too, Real Daddy. That's me and you read the same report. We read the same report. I would love to get Harbaugh. I think that would check a lot of the boxes that a lot of Falcons fans want. You want to coach with a proven track record of success. You want to coach. A lot of Falcons fans don't want a first-time head coach again. We've traveled down that yellow brick road plenty of times, and we don't want to travel down it again. So I think that really would check out a lot of boxes. So I would love to have Jim Harbaugh. He's number one on my list, but I don't think we'll snatch him up. But if not, it is what it is. Eric said Harbaugh has too many demands. I did see something that said Harbaugh wants to be paid $20 million. He wants a coaching staff budget of $10 million. He wants to pick his own general manager, and he wants to have full autonomy, full control of the roster. So if those reports are true, and then I saw another report come out and say that's not true. So you never really know. But with somebody like Harbaugh is as much in demand as he is right now. He is definitely going to have some things that he wants. He's going to want a certain amount of control of the roster. He's going to demand a certain type of salary. So I don't know how accurate that report is, but it was probably more accurate than it was inaccurate. I would probably say that. I mean, nothing that I read was totally out of the realm of possibility for him. A2 Slick 96, bringing on players and staff that used to be with the Falcons during the Super Bowl loss shouldn't be brought back. Not good for business. I agree. Absolutely agree. I could not agree with you more. Poe Pimp 2004. What's happening, Poe Pimp? I have no idea if this is a good hire because I don't know what the job entails or if Ryan has the experience to do the job. He's definitely the kind of guy you want, but that don't mean he has what it takes. See, Poe Pimp, I like that. That is what I would call a very objective perspective. You're not saying, hey, it's a good idea or it's a bad idea. You're like, hey, man, I don't know the ins and outs of the job. I don't know if Matt really has experience to do what it takes. So correct me if I'm wrong. Paul Pimp is like, you taking a wait to see approach. Like, I'm just going to see how it play out, and I respect that. I definitely respect that. But now strapped up in the bit. And what's that in the strap? Let's get Clint or Stefanski in here. That's also bringing AJ Brown if he wants out of the Eagles. AJ Brown, I don't know if that's the road we want to travel, and not because AJ Brown isn't a very, very good player, because he's definitely a good wide receiver. But like, you gotta. This is my issue with that strapped up. You got to first deal with his personality. That's a very strong personality that he has. Then you also got to deal with his salary. And then you got Drake London that you're finna have to pay at the latest next offseason. So you don't want to have AJ Brown making $30 million already. Then now we really wouldn't have the money to pay Drake London, So for financial reasons, like I personally would be out on AJ Brown I would just try to kind of keep what we got in Drake London. 'Cause Drake London, he's gonna be a top 5 paid wide receiver. Jay Black says, hit that like button. Thank you very much, Jay Black. Yes, please hit the like button. Do me a big favor, hit the like button. I definitely will appreciate that. John Kemp in the house. What's happening, John Kemp? What's up, Toddy? I'll wait and see for me. Yep, I respect that too, John. Hey, wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens, and then I can give you, a more informed opinion in about 2 or 3 years once I see how things play out. Real Daddy Thursday, shout out to Jalen Johnson and Atlanta Hawks giving those Warriors the business tonight. Trae Young, yes, I saw the Hawks beat the Warriors tonight. Trae Young was just recently traded to the Washington Wizards. That was kind of emotional. Not emotional for me, but I know it was kind of emotional for some people that I saw online, I saw on Twitter, saw on Facebook. I saw a video kind of like when Trae Young got the news on his cell phone that he had been traded. Him, giving hugs and everything to some of his teammates, some fans, some of his coaches, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So some Hawks fans like it, some Hawks fans dislike it, but we will see how that goes. Wade Williams is, I think, the consulting firm that came and really made Mr. Money open his eyes about how the front office and how the team operations were ran. You're probably right, because I'm sure he's not paying that consulting firm all that money for no reasons. That they probably confirm, some of Blank's suspicions and more than likely probably influence him to make some of the off-season decisions that he eventually made. Let's just hope it's the right decisions. Let's just hope it's the right decision. Wade also says he seems extremely direct and dedicated to making the right changes. I think you're talking about Matt Ryan there, and if so, I absolutely do agree. The Daily Talent, what's up, Daily Talent? Says what do you think about them interviewing Evero? That's the Carolina Panthers. Is that their defensive coordinator? I think. I don't like it at all, and it makes no sense. They're probably just doing their due diligence. I would assume. And don't get me wrong. I think it's a good idea to interview as many people as you can. You want to do your due diligence. You want to hear everybody's perspectives and ideas when you do an interview. So me personally, I don't really see a problem of having an open competition for the head coaching job, because that's what we like to see on the football field, right? We want to have an open competition and may the best man win. I don't see a problem with it, but I'm sure I'm not trying to send any negative vibes his way when I say this, but I'm sure he's probably not going to get the job. But we shall see. Maybe it's somebody that gets on the staff eventually. We'll see. Georgia, Texas boy in the house. What's up, Georgia, Texas boy? What up, Titan Falcons family? The new era is here. We here. We here. We are definitely here, man. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll probably know everything we need to know about our new coaches, new general managers, and they're gonna get to work because we're already in mid-January. Free agency starts in March. Free agency starts in like 2 months, man. So, hey, man, like stuff gonna really start rolling pretty soon. Coach says, I think with Matt being the president, he can no longer be on the field. In that situation, it's a huge conflict of interest. When you say on the field, do you mean the practice field? Explain to me what you mean, Coach, because I'm sure you probably was responding to something I said earlier, and I'm just behind on the comments. HS6, the Quebec seems like the best fit for Atlanta scheme, especially because the offense is getting younger. I like Quebec. Outside of Harbaugh, Quebec would be my second choice. I like my guy Coach like them old coaches. I like the younger coaches, man. I like the coaches to kind of be younger, be more relatable with the players, So I like Quebec. If Quebec get a job, I'll be cool with that. JT says the young quarterbacks balled out this week. Yes, they did. I'm glad you said that, JT. Because y'all know I be preaching that all the time, man. Like, it starts and stops with the quarterback. It starts and stops with the quarterback. Once we get us a dog quarterback, whether that be Michael Penix or Jay Brown or Larry Henderson, whoever it is, once we get a dog as quarterback, this team is going to turn around. This team is definitely going to turn around. Georgia Tech Sports says Stefanski is my top choice, 2-time coach of the year, and runs the West Coast, same as Kubiak. I know a lot of people are high on Stefanski. I think the Falcons interviewed him Friday night, I think. They interviewed him Friday night. I'm pretty sure that he's high on the Falcons priority list also. So if they don't hire Harbaugh, I'm sure that they're going to look close, very, very close to Stefanski. JT says, as long as we can get what everyone considers one of the top 3 coaches available, I'm happy. This hiring cycle is better than what we had when we hired Raheem. I think this is a better coaching cycle also because Harbaugh definitely, lifted this hiring cycle up a great deal. Just that thing alone, you traditionally won't get a lot of hiring cycles when you have a big fish like Harbaugh, and Harbaugh is a very, very, very big fish. So he definitely raised the pedigree of this coaching cycle. Let me see here. Sarah's Matt wife is AB's niece. Through marriage is the relationship. Explain that to me, Diva. When you say Sarah is Arthur Blank's niece through marriage, you got to break that down for me. If you don't mind it, and like make it make sense. Coach says, you said no to Roddy and the boys because you say we need experience, yet that's the exact thing Clinton is. I just truly don't understand the call for him. I think it's a lot of bandwagon. I'll speak on the Roddy thing. Experience is one thing, but that's not really like the driving factor to me. Like, I think it's a real poor choice to like just bring a bunch of Falcons players back. Like what are we trying to do? Like, are we trying to have some kind of adult slumber party, with a bunch of old players come back? And to me, it's I want to be respectful when I say this, but to me, it's kind of goofy to try to bring a bunch of old players back. And respectfully, when I say this, a bunch of old players back who didn't win a Super Bowl, and now try to make them coaches. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like I don't like that idea. To me, it kind of turns into a circus when you try to bring a bunch of players back. I mean, just because guys with great football players doesn't mean they're going to be great executives. It doesn't mean that they're going to be great coaches. I mean, you do have some that can do both. Probably the greatest. I want to say athlete, but Michael Jordan, one of the greatest sports athletes in history. He was an executive for many, many years, and it didn't work out well for him. It didn't. Magic Johnson tried to be a head coach. It didn't work out well for him. I mean, Larry Bird, it worked out pretty good for him, and he ended up retiring. So normally, from my experience, it's normally the guys that spend more time on the bench watching than playing end up being the better coaches. From my experience, it's not just solely experience. To me, it's just a goofy concept, Coach. Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we trying to bring back a bunch of old players? It's just goofy. It makes us look like a Bush League franchise. And I know some people will say, well, y'all are the Falcons, y'all are Bush League, but it's just a goofy premise to me to try to just, let's get Julio back, let's get Roddy back, let's get Sanu back, let's bring Harry Douglas back, let's bring Brian Finneran back. Why? Like, what? Like, why? Why would we do that? Let them guys continue doing whatever they were doing. Coach Justin said, whatever John wants, give it to him. They definitely may cave in and give it to him. Strap, this is why don't people like Stefanski for our team? I'm not sure. I am sure. I just lied to you. I almost lied to you, but I caught myself in fully lying. It's because of the Shedeur Sanders effect. Shedeur has a very, very, very big fan base, and it's the Shedeur Sanders effect. That's what it is. I'll just leave it there. We make it have them conversations in the off season. So let me try to catch up on everybody's comments here. I want to make sure I miss nobody. Aaron Max said Hawks looking better with CJ. I honestly can't say because I didn't see the Hawks game, man. But I know from like people who are big Hawks fans talking to them, they saying this team is a lot better um, without Trey Young. So best of luck to the Hawks. Michael Bush says Michael Bush says the firm pointed out the organization didn't have a clear vision on their identity in the communication in the building, in which Arthur Blank was surprised by that finding. I'm gonna be honest with you, Michael Bush. I saw the same thing. To me, that's an indictment on Arthur Blank. To me, based on what I read, I'm like, man, it seems like they talking to you, Mr. Blank. Like you the captain of the ship, and when when it says don't have a clear vision, to me, it seems like that's on you. But what do I know? Jordan Dawes says, hell no, I don't want Stefanski. Miss B says, please no Stefanski. Georgia Dawes says, Isaac giving Harbaugh his pink slip caught me off guard. I had heard rumblings of that before it happened. There were some rumblings that the Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson were really getting along. I don't know how true it is. I also read that they, I guess the owners or the executives up top wanted him to fire Todd Monken. Also, another beef I got, and my bad for not finishing the statement, Georgia Dog, but another beef I got. My fellow Bulldog fans, I got to come at y'all now. And I'm a Bulldog fan, so this is all love. But the Bulldog fans are kind of doing stuff like some of the Falcons fans trying to bring the band back together. I'll be saying, oh, Bulldog fan, well, let's go get Stetson Bennett and let's get Todd Monken as the head coach. Let's try to go get Kirby Smart. I'd be like, God, y'all, stop. Sometimes I be on the outside looking in, like, I see why people say Bulldog fans are so aggravated. Like, you can't make the Falcons the 2021 Georgia Bulldogs either. Like, Todd Monken, I got a lot of love and respect for him. Stetson Bennett, I got a whole lot of love and respect for him, but no, stop it. Like, this is not the minor leagues, this is not the Macon Braves and Atlanta Braves. Like, this is not, you don't try to take all the Bulldogs from the championship team and bring them to the Falcons. Like, to me, that be and don't get me wrong, I be want Falcons to get Georgia players too, but I'll be want the whole Georgia coaching staff and all the players. Like, I like Zachariah and Branch, the wide receiver, but that's about it. I'm not trying to go get Kirby. I'm not big on getting Todd Monken. I'm not trying to go get Stetson Bennett. Like, to me, when people think like that, I immediately get the idea, like, and I say this respectfully, about like, y'all are like casual fans. Like stuff like that don't work out. It's like, let me keep going. Doing stuff with CJ in the middle. What's happening with CJ? What's going on? Diva also says, I honestly don't like the way Stefanski handled the quarterback situation in Cleveland this year. Don't want to bring that here to Atlanta. Shaking my head. That was a hot mess. Yes, and that's what I'm saying, Diva. It's like just the Stefanski hate comes from a Shedeur Sanders situation, which is a very, very, very polarizing situation. People will get upset with me about this, but like when some people suggest to me, hey man, let's go get Shedeur, I'll be like, no, let's not go get Shedeur. I ain't got nothing against Shedeur. No hate from me to Shedeur. I hope he ends up being a Pro Bowl quarterback, successful, long NFL career. But I just don't want that attention that's gonna come with Shedeur Sanders in Atlanta, because for one, Atlanta already has enough. We already have enough in our backpack that our backpack is full. We can't fit any more baggage in our backpack. And I know bringing a polarizing player like Shedeur, no fault of his. I'm not faulting Shedeur, so no nasty messages. But I'm just saying, like, that situation with Shedeur is just so polarizing and out of control. It's going to be a distraction. To me, that situation in Cleveland this year was a distraction. It was a major distraction. And Atlanta already has enough distractions. We don't need to bring any added distractions into our franchise. So when people be like, "Hey man, let's go get Shador," I'm like, "Nah, no, let's not go get Shador. Let's not. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with the new fans that would come with Shador trying to tell us like what we ain't doing right and we should. I'm good on all that, and I say that respectfully. No hate against Shador. I just don't like the situation and the things that would come with Shador. I don't feel like that would be conducive to the Falcons. I just feel like that's going to be just a mess that we would have to deal with, in my opinion. I also want to talk, and we'll continue to talk about this situation too. We posted something on our Facebook page today, and this is kind of going a little reverse, but it was saying the reason the former coaching staff was fired was because of Kirk Cousins, and I'm gonna tell y'all what I mean specifically. And this is not kind of how I had to preempt my Shador statement. Let me preempt my Kirk Cousins statement. I think Kirk Cousins is a really good guy. I think he's a great family man. I don't know him personally. I'm just going off what I see. People could be different behind closed doors. I think he's a great father, great husband, and all that stuff. Excuse me. But I really think Raheem and Terry Fontenot's undoing was the Kirk Cousins signing. I think that's really what cashed their checks. And the reason I say that, we signed Kirk to a $180 million contract, and $100 million of that was guaranteed for 2 seasons. So when you sign that kind of contract, especially the guaranteed money for only 2 seasons, essentially every NFL owner, you're now in the expectation you got to win. You got to get in the playoffs. You at least got to get in the playoffs. Not saying that you got to go to the Super Bowl or you got to even win a playoff game, but you got to at least get in the playoffs. $100 million guaranteed. And long story short, the Kirk Cousins signing was an ultimate failure. And again, this is not saying Kirk Cousins is a bad person or anything of that nature. I don't want that to be out there. But when we signed Kirk Cousins to $100 million guaranteed, and Kirk Cousins' win-loss record was 12-10 of the Falcons. He won 12 games and he lost 10. That averages financially to about $8.3 million per win. We paid Kirk Cousins $100 million guaranteed over just 2 seasons, and he only won us 12 games. So again, when you sign a quarterback to that kind of money, you're telling your owner, we're going to win we're going to win at least these next 2 years when he's a starting quarterback. So when you don't win, and Kirk played good in spells, you take away those 3 Tampa Bay games and it looks real foggy for Kirk Cousins as a quarterback. You take away those 3 Tampa Bay games, but they are on the schedule, so let's keep them in there. Even with the Tampa Bay games, that was the ultimate failure. So when you commit that kind of money to that kind of quarterback, you give him all the conditions that he wants, the money up front, the no trade clause, you're telling your owner, we're going to win. We're about to get into the playoffs. And when it doesn't happen, there are going to be ramifications for that. So I feel like that was really the driving factor of why the previous regime got fired. Now, I also feel like the Michael Penix signing and him getting injured was more icing on the cake. But I strongly believe it was the Kirk Cousins signing, and we're not winning now that we signed Kirk. That's really what helped get Terry and Raheem out the door. You go 8-9, then you got this quarterback you signed for $100 million, and there were a lot of people saying it was a bad signing. Right around the time that we made the signing, and again, we go 12-10 with him, and I think Arthur Blank looked at that as like, I'm a billionaire, but I'm not a billionaire where you guys are just gonna have me writing $100 million check and nothing comes from that. So I think that was ultimately their undoing. That Kirk Cousins signing, that pretty much baked the cake for the past regime of Arthur and Terry, and then you go draft Michael Penix right behind him, and then Michael Penix gets hurt midway through the season. It was like, oh yeah, you are definitely out of here. You definitely out of here. So, that's really what got Terry and Arthur. I was gonna say Arthur Smith, Terry and Raheem Morris out the door. Shout out to my dog Gold in the building. What's going on, Goat? From Black Cat Panther Podcast. Y'all make sure y'all tune in to Black Cat Panther Podcast. Speaking of the Carolina Panthers, who almost snuck that victory in against the Rams this past weekend. And that's Goat, one of the co-hosts of their podcast. So y'all make sure to go out there and show them a whole bunch of love, because they do an excellent job on what they do. Appreciate you coming in, Goat. JT says, I heard a rumor Penix had a partial tear when he was drafted and played like that until he further injured it this year. I heard Michael Turner and Ovi Mahaley's podcast. They said that he had a partial tear, and I'm glad you brought that up, because Michael Penix jumped in the comment section on Instagram and he responded to that, and he said something like, man, y'all be for real, like where y'all getting this information from? And that was very interesting to me. Very interesting to me. Whether he had a partial tear, I don't know, but I will say this: there was something going on with that entire situation, being that you don't put Penix under center pretty much at all. Then Kirk comes in, and schematically the offense is totally different. So there was something going on with that. I don't know if Penix was hurt or not. He could have been. It's not beyond the realm of possibility to say maybe he was hurt, or maybe he did have a partial tear. Maybe he wasn't comfortable on the center. It was a very, very strange situation. I will say that it did limit the things that we were able to do offensively. The versatility of the offense suffered because of that. And he could have been hurt, he definitely could have been hurt. When he officially got hurt, it could have just been aggravating the injury even more, because he did miss that game. He missed the game prior to that because of a knee injury or knee aggravation. So I don't know. There was something there with that. I will say that, but hopefully Penix bounces back. They're gonna definitely give him another opportunity in 2026. Whenever he does get back on the field. I don't know how long Michael Penix is gonna be out. He could come back week 2, week 4, week 8, week 12. Who knows? It just all depends on how his rehab goes and how his body responds to being cut open again. But we shall see. For the benefit of the Falcons, I really hope he can come back and just be the quarterback we need him to be. Because like y'all watch these playoff games, man, y'all see how these quarterbacks are playing this weekend. You saw Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence out there battling today. Like we're gonna have to get us a quarterback. If Michael Penix is gonna be the guy, then he's gonna have to be the guy to help take us to the next level. We got to get a dog ass quarterback, man. I don't care what coach we bring in here, whether that be Harbaugh, Stefanski, Kubiak, or whoever. The quarterback has to be ready to play football, and they're gonna give Michael Penix 2026. They're gonna give him 2026 to show improve himself. And if he comes out in 2026 and he can't get on the field, he can't stay on the field, if he has shown any major improvement in his game, they're going to move past Penix. They're going to go in the draft in 2027. They're going to look at getting another quarterback, or they're going to look at the 2027 quarterback free agency class. But they're not gonna just sit and wait on Michael Penix to hopefully develop or cross their fingers and close their eyes and hope he can stay healthy. They ain't gonna do that, especially now that Terry is gone and Raheem is gone. That's their quarterback. Y'all know how it goes when a new staff comes in here, a new general manager, new head coach. They want their own guy. So it's gonna be up for Penix. He's gonna have to show that, hey man, I'm the guy. I am a franchise quarterback. I can stay healthy. I can lead this team to 10 plus wins per season. I can get us in the playoff. I can win playoff games. You gotta have to prove that. Because next year, you're gonna be in year 3 with Penix, you know, and you're gonna get to that point where you start to look and consider, well, do I give this guy a 5th year option or do I let him walk? In free agency, or do I trade him? Now, in 2026, the way his contract is set up and structured, like I hear some people say, "Oh man, get rid of Penix." And like them people who say that, I don't pay them no mind either, because they don't even understand how contracts work. There's not going to be any move past Penix, trade Penix in 2026. The contract does not enable the Falcons to do that, and plus, you don't give up on them that quick anyway. Although he has shown that he still gets hurt, you still got to give him a valid chance. But anyway, the contract won't allow you just to move by him next year. But in 2027, yeah, he can be traded. His contract at that point in time will enable the Falcons to maneuver and trade him if they see fit that he needs to be moved. So Michael Penix is going to have to show us something in 2026. If you get to 2027 and he hasn't shown any improvements, he hadn't shown that he has developed, he hasn't shown any progression traits, you got to move past it, man. And I like Penix, but we can't just sit here and wait on you forever, man. So you got to prove that you're the guy. You got to prove that you can stay on the field. Let 640 says, yeah, that Kirk Cousins signing got him. Yeah, that the quarter. I'm in the quarterback position. That got them out of there. You can't give Kirk Cousins the $100 million guaranteed. Then you lose a contract because of Kirk. Excuse me. You lose a draft pick because of Kirk Cousins, and then you're not winning no playoff games, and then he has a no trade clause, and now we're approaching this off season, and now we got to do some maneuvering. They've already restructured his contract to create cap space. You can't do all that to go 8-9. You could have kept Mariota and them Ritter and what's the other boy name? Heineke. You could have kept them around and win 6, 7, 8 games a year. And you could have used that $100 million to just start building up the team. You can't sign a quarterback to $100 million guaranteed and you only win 8 games a year like that. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work at all. Eric Mack says we have a lot of holes to fill because of Terry trying to put bandages on a lot of positions. Yeah, we definitely have a lot of holes, and that's something I say is also, Eric. I don't think the team is as talented as our fans. Some of our fans think they're. I'm not saying that we trash either. I'm not saying that we just absolute garbage. But we got some holes. We got to do something at the cornerback 2 position. We got to find somebody that can run aside AJ Terrell, because that's been in the Achilles heel for the Falcons for years now. Everybody we play just pick on the other cornerback, so we got to get past the Mike Hugheses of the world and guys like that and get us a legit cornerback 2 to play aside AJ Terrell. I also would like to see us get like a run stopping or a hole plunging nose tackle in here, because our run defense is pathetic. Yeah, we got a lot of sacks and the defense was vastly improved, but the Falcons was I think ranked 24th in run defense in the 2025 season. Teams pretty much was running at will on us. So that's another thing we got to consider. I still like the offensive line. I'm not down on the offensive line, but we're starting to approach the point where you're probably gonna have to start to look at drafting a tackle very soon. Because although Jake Matthews is still a very, very good pass blocking tackle. He's starting to get a little age on him. He's not as good run blocking anymore. He used to be a pretty solid run blocking tackle, but his run blocking has fell off a great deal. You got Caleb McGarry coming off a season-ending injury, so we don't know how he's going to respond to that, especially now that he's going to be older. I think Caleb is in his 30s now. Also Matthew Bergeron, to me, didn't have a good season this year. So, we getting to the point where we may have to start retooling that offensive line a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen with Caden Ellis. I know the Falcons would like to keep him, but at what cost? Like, what kind of money he gonna want? Caden Ellis is a free agent now, so I don't know what kind of money that he's gonna ask for, what kind of money he's gonna be expecting, but there is no guarantee that you're gonna get Caden Ellis back. So you may have a hole at linebacker that you're gonna have to address well. Gonna have to find a backup running back for Bijan Robinson. I'm 97% sure Tyler Algier won't be back. Now, the backup running back position is not, to me, like a real high priority thing, because I think you can go into the draft and find good young backup running backs. You can go in free agents to find backup running backs. Running backs are pretty plentiful in the NFL. So that's not a huge deal to me. Wide receiver, I'm sure Darnell Mooney will be cut. So you're going to have to do something about that. And that's a big reason that I'm a proponent of a franchise tagging Kyle Pitts, because I don't want to lose. Like, you already lost Ray McLeod. He wasn't a huge contributor, but he played a lot. But I don't want to just 1 year you lose Ray McLeod, you lose Darnell Mooney, and you lose Kyle Pitts. Like, you done lost your that would be losing your second, third, and fourth priority pass catcher. So I don't want an entire offseason when you lose the whole wide receiver room, including Kyle Pitts minus Drake London, and then you still got Michael Penix. You trying to keep him with the same guys that he's already familiar throwing with. You want to keep that continuity. You want to keep that chemistry going. So I don't want to go through an offseason when you pretty much losing your entire wide receiver room. I don't think that would be conducive to Michael Penix's development. So I am a proponent of keeping Kyle Pitts. I personally would franchise Kyle Pitts. Like, hey, Kyle, okay, you balled out this year. And shout out to Kyle Pitts for making second team All-Pro. Shout out to Bijan Robinson for making first team All-Pro. Bijan actually made All-Pro twice. Made first team as a running back and then second team as an all-purpose back. So he had a phenomenal year. But going back to Kyle Pitts, I would franchise tag him and like, hey, you have another good year, then we'll go ahead and give you that 4-year contract that you do desire. So you are right. We do have some holes that we got to fill. Lisa says, who would you like to see as our bridge quarterback? That's a very good question. I'm sure they're going to get somebody in free agency because Packers only have 5 draft picks. They're going to have a new staff, and I'm sure that new staff ain't trying to lose any more draft picks. I would say Justin Fields right now. He's at the top of my list because I think you can get Justin Fields relatively cheap. I think the way the offense is set up, especially with Bijan, you can come in here and you can control the ball and he can win you some games without asking him to have to throw the ball a lot. That's when you run into the problems with Justin Fields. If you need him to throw the ball over 23 times a game, you're going to be in trouble. That's not what he does well. But you can get some RPO in there with him, and you can just control the time of possession by running the ball with a quarterback like Justin Fields, a running back like Bijan Robinson. When you're winning those time of possessions, I feel like Justin Fields can come in here and win a few games until Michael Penix Jr. gets back. I really like the idea of getting a guy like Malik Willis, but I think Malik Willis his stock has risen so much. I don't think he's going to be affordable for Atlanta. I think he's going to probably get a contract where he's going to be making about $17 to $20 million a year, probably on a 2-year deal. So I don't think the Falcons are in a position where they can pay that kind of money. But I would love to get a guy like Malik Willis. I think he'd be a good fit based on what we need. And not only that, that way, if Penix don't work out, Malik Willis could potentially be the franchise quarterback. You know, but again, I think his stock has risen so much. I've seen me personally. I've seen Zach Wilson's name being mentioned. I'm not. I don't know about Zach Wilson. But the free agent class isn't very strong this year. I think Teddy Bridgewater's out there. I think Tyrod Taylor's out there. Aaron Rodgers will be out there. I did throw the idea of Aaron Rodgers, at least, and a lot of people didn't like that. But if Aaron Rodgers still wants to play football, I would definitely kick the ties with A-Rod. I would definitely kick the ties with A-Rod. Again, you got Bijan, you keep Drake, you keep Kyle, and then you bring A-Rod into a dome environment where he ain't got to deal with them cold weather elements. Shoot, I wouldn't be mad at getting Aaron Rodgers in here, man. I wouldn't be mad at all about getting Aaron Rodgers. David says Joe Milton, that could be a possibility also. Lent 640 says the offensive line has to be retooled. Yeah, that's something I was kind of talking about just a moment ago as well. Goat says, think you talk about a quarterback has to be a dog. Yeah, the quarterback has to be a dog. Goat. That's something I'll be saying a lot, man. Like, your quarterback has to be the dog in the NFL, because this ain't like high school or even college, where you could get by with a mediocre or slightly above average quarterback. In the NFL, man, your quarterback must be a dog. I'm talking about a dog, because the NFL is predicated on quarterback play. That's why they get paid the kind of money that they make. The NFL rules or sit up and manipulate it for the quarterbacks and the wide receivers to have an advantage. So the quarterback got to be a dog. Quarterback has to be a dog. And people get upset. Upset ain't a good word, but people tend to disagree with me when I say the quarterback position is more important than the head coach position. But in the NFL, in my opinion, it is. Your quarterback position is way more important to me than a head coaching position. To me, in the NFL, a good head coach is there to complement a good quarterback, to get them from a good level, a very good level, to the next level. The coaching is there to complement that. But you can have the best coach in the world. If the quarterback just ain't got the talent, he ain't got the talent. Ain't nothing that quarterback gonna do. Ain't nothing that head coach can do or the offensive coordinator can do. Take Kyle Shanahan, for example. We give Kyle Shanahan all his props. We saw what he did with our quarterback when he was here in 2016, 2017. But look at Trey Lance. They moved up to draft Trey Lance. Even Kyle Shanahan can do that with Trey Lance. So he had to move on. He had to find somebody that has the talent, man. The quarterback in this NFL has to be a dog. Look at all the playoff teams this year, man. They all mostly had dog-ass quarterbacks, man. You're not going to win in this league if you ain't got a dog at quarterback. It don't matter what kind of coaching staff you bring in here, what kind of offensive coordinator you bring in here, what kind of quarterback coach you bring in here. It don't matter. The quarterback has to be a fucking dog. You got to have a dog at quarterback. It starts and stops with the quarterback. You got to have somebody in here who's going to be able to push the ball down the field. Who's going to be consistent. That's the issue with Kirk Cousins. He wasn't consistent. Kirk had got old. He had lost the zip and velocity on his ball. So in today's NFL, you're going to have a dog quarterback. So if Penix ain't going to be the guy, if Penix can't stay healthy, we're going to have to go in the draft and we're going to have to find us another quarterback. So going into 2026, I don't know how the front office is going to look at this year. The new front office, they could look at this year and they could say, you know what, we're not going to rebuild. We're not going to call this a rebuild, but we're not going to put all our cards on the table either. We're gonna play the cut with this new staff. We're gonna get ready for 2027, especially if they don't believe in Michael Penix. You know, so they may not put all they chips on the table, and they may get ready for a big push in 2027 when you get all your draft picks. We could possibly be picking in the top 10 or the top 15. Give us a prime opportunity to go in the draft and get a quarterback, or we'll have a shitload of money. If their 2027 quarterback free agency class look good, you could possibly go through that. And again, going back to why the other people got fired, you know, you got Arthur Blank looking at like, damn, Sam Darnold went to another team, Baker Mayfield went to another team, and these guys going to the playoffs. And we done gave Kirk Cousins all this money, and he done got hurt. He can't stay healthy. You know, you got to have a dog at quarterback, man. Like, that's just where the NFL is at this point in time. Michael says we've been top heavy on talent with the starters, but the depth pieces are not there for the team. I agree with you on that also, and that kind of go back to me saying they may do a soft rebuild. You know, if they decide not to pay Kyle Pitts, then that might be doing a soft rebuild. They may just say, hey, man, fuck it. Let's see what 2027 gonna be about. Let's just hold in money for 2027. We kind of build this team like we want to build this team. Like Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith, they came in here and took a tight end at number 4 with no quarterback. I don't know what kind of direction they were going in, but we ain't gonna go in that same direction. And as much as I like Drake London, like, you put yourself in a precarious position, and then Bijan, when you start paying all these offensive skill positions, and you don't even have a quarterback. You know, again, much as I like Michael Penix got to show it first. He got to show he the guy. So, like, do you want to go down the road and you want to pay Bijan Robinson $23 million per year with a big ass guaranteed signing bonus? Same thing for Drake London. Drake London gonna cost you upwards of $30 million. So do you want to have $55 million invested in Drake, Bijan, and potentially Kyle Pitts, and you don't even have a quarterback? You know, you just got all these. You got a nice paint job. You got all the. You got fly ass rims, but your engine's shaky. You know, you ain't really got no substance. So there's a lot of things that the new front office gonna have to look at and gonna have to consider. Easy with the heart. Well, I think we need to go get the best wide receiver available in the second round. That's potentially what they may do with the second round pick. I don't know, either that or a defensive lineman. Defense said, I don't think our running backs were utilized correctly in the offense play calling. I'm not sure if Algier will go anywhere unless it's to get paid. Yeah, Tyler won't be back, and Tyler shouldn't come back. Tyler Algier can go start on some teams. He can go make, starting running back money. Tyler shouldn't come back, and to be honest, we're not in. Speaking of Bijan Robinson's upcoming contract, because Bijan's agent, if Bijan got a good agent, I'm sure he do. Boy got his own mustard. But Bijan's agent gonna start pressing the Falcons for a new contract, especially when Jahmyr Gibbs get his money. And the Lions have already said that Jahmyr Gibbs, his contract is gonna be a priority this offseason. So if Jahmyr get his deal, then the Falcons they're gonna be forced to pay Bijan his money too. Because Bijan done outperformed that rookie contract 3 and 4 times over. And I'm sure his agent ain't finna just keep seeing him, especially being a running back. His agent will not allow him to keep getting paid $4 and $5 million a year. And they know he worth at least $20 million a year. So Bijan won't see no 50 option. At the very most, we might get one more year of Bijan on a rookie contract, and the Falcons gonna have to pay him. Don't be surprised if they pay him midway through this season, actually, especially paying running back because their shelf life is so low. And that's just you can't pay Bijan that kind of money, then trying to get Tyler Algier $4, $5, $6 million per year or whatever the market gonna be for him. Then at that point, we have invested too much money in the running back room. Speaking of the Lions, I also saw something come out where they saying they're going to look at trading Montgomery because they said because he deserves to go somewhere where he can get more playing time. But the real reason is they know they're about to have to pay Jahmyr Gibbs and they need to free up some more cap money in the future. Easy with the hardware. So, yep, tag picks. Yeah, I would franchise tag Kyle Pitts. Gizmo said, how much would you pay Kyle? That's a damn good question, bro. The franchise tag is about 15, 16 million. But if you're saying a new contract, Kyle Pitts market value, man, Kyle, you're gonna have to pay Kyle Pitts, bro. Especially with him getting second team all pro and he's only 25 years old. The market is what the market is what the market is. You're gonna have to pay Kyle Pitts. You're gonna have to pay him at least about 16.3, 16.5 per year. You're gonna be in the 16. You're gonna pay him at least $16 million. Probably about $16.5, $16.8 million per year on like a 4-year deal. You know, that's what you're looking at for Kyle Pitts. You know, so that's where he's gonna be at. JT said it will cost 16 million to franchise tag him. Yeah, you're gonna have to pay him a little bit more over that franchise tag to keep him. Easy with the hardware. So Aaron Rodgers would be my first choice. Yeah, man. I wouldn't mind getting Aaron Rodgers, bro. We need us a vet in here who can come in here and run this offense. You know, who ain't gonna turn the ball over a lot. You know, who can hit our receivers. And like I said, you get Aaron Rodgers in that dome, shit. And that would be his first time playing in the dome environment in his career. You know, so that I think will help him out a lot as far as his arm goes. John Kemp says Tyson Baggett, Chicago Bears backup QB would be great. I don't know a lot about him, man, to be honest with you. I have seen a lot of tape of film on Tyson Baggett. So you got to school me on him. I don't know a lot about him, John Kemp. Diva says this year the NFL also showed you better have a good backup quarterback on that bench too. Look at the injuries this year. Yeah, you typically want to try to keep you a good backup who can come in here if your quarterback miss 4 games, he can come in here and at least win 2 of them. Or if your quarterback missed 6 games, you want your backup to be able to come in here and win 3 of those 6. You know, so that's another thing. And there are some situations though, depending on what kind of quarterback you got. Some quarterbacks they won't let you put a good backup behind them because they worry about their job. You know, Tom Brady, you know, he got your boy Jimmy G out of there. That's how some quarterbacks. So I think I heard stories about Drew Brees being like that too. That you know Drew Brees wouldn't let the Saints, you know, put no good backup behind them. So depending on what kind of starter you got, they may not let you put a good backup behind them because you know they don't want to. I guess they don't want to deal with it. You know, some of them may look at that as being disrespectful. You know, quarterbacks are kind of divas in a lot of situations. Eric says, tight end was talking about. Appreciate that, Eric. Thank you very much. I definitely do appreciate that. Diva says Kirk Cousins may be of interest for Pitts if Kansas City may be of interest for Pitts if Kelsey's going to retire. I'm just thinking Kyle Pitts and at Mahomes, boy, goodness Lord. And that's the thing with Pitts, man. You get Pitts with a quarterback like Pat Mahomes and a system like Andy Reid who's gonna utilize him a lot. Boy. A lot of fans don't think Kyle is worth the money, but I think Kyle is worth the franchise tag. Because I gotta be honest, I mean, I'm not like a big Kyle Pitts fan. But damn, he here. Like once we draft somebody, if you got a talent in the building, you want to try to keep them. You don't want to draft nobody 4th overall in the draft, and then you don't give them a second rookie contract. I mean, you don't give them a second contract past the rookie deal. Like to me, that's like you hustling backwards as a team by doing that. But the thing with Kyle Pitts, like Kyle Pitts had a very good rookie season. He had a great year this year in his 4th season. No, his 5th season. Pardon me, this is 5th season. He only his 5th year option, but you got like a 2 year. He got hurt his 2nd season, so that's a wash. You know, I'm not going to hold his 2nd season against him when he pretty much missed, I think, more than half the season. So that's a wash. So you got 2 seasons there where he didn't put up the same kind of numbers he put up in his 5th season or his 1st season. But you also got to consider like quarterback play. Last year, that's the year that Kirk Cousins fell off the cliff, and then you got Michael Penix coming in as a rookie, so you don't have any stability at the quarterback position. That going back to me saying the quarterback has to be a dog. Your quarterback got to be a dog.
And then the other year, you got Desmond Ritter, you got Taylor Heineke, you got them boys, and y'all know them boys ain't finna lift no team up. So Kyle really had been in a situation with Atlanta where he had good stability at the quarterback position, and that's really on the Falcons. That's why to me that draft pick never ever made sense. You draft a tight end at 4, and you ain't got a quarterback in play. Yeah, Matt Ryan was here, but it was obvious that Matt was on his last leg. You know, Matt Ryan was out of the NFL like the next season after that. So, you know, the pick never made sense to me, but you know, he here now. I can see that too, Eric. That makes sense. I can see as you're signing with the Steelers. Yeah, he seems like one of them Steelers type players, or somebody like Green Bay. Lentz. Hey man, that's the Falcons way, bro. You know this team believes in hustling backwards. Lent, you and I know that very, very well. That's why I'm hoping Matt Ryan can come here and just change the way things going. But it's gonna be interesting, y'all, to see how they approach this all season. I would not be surprised if they do like they start a soft rebuild. It wouldn't shock me. You know, not saying that they ain't gonna come here and try to win. I don't know, but I'm just saying it wouldn't shock me if they do like a soft, silent rebuild. They're never gonna come out and tell us that as fans. But it wouldn't shock me if they don't put all their chips on the table and they just, you know, you see a lot of guys not getting signed. If they let Kyle Pitts go and Darnell Mooney, to me that signals they're doing like a soft rebuild and they're getting ready for 20. They're getting all their resources ready for 2027. And that would be one advantage of a new GM, one advantage of a head coach, because during like that first year, they're kind of expected to come in here and clean up the mess of the past administration, which was Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot. But listen, y'all, I'm gonna let y'all get out of here, man. I do want to say I appreciate the love, man. Y'all hanging with your dog here about 1 a.m. You know, so I'm gonna get up out of here. I anticipate we'll probably have some kind of news next week. I think they're gonna hire Ian Cunningham from Chicago as the general manager. That seems like the direction everything is going. So, you know, any kind of major moves that we make next week or the next couple of days, next few days, you know, we'll come back in here. We'll talk about it at that point in time. But until then, Diva says, I actually think we need a soft rebuild. Jake not getting younger either. Honestly, Diva, I wouldn't be mad at it. I really wouldn't. I really, really wouldn't. You know, make sure that the draft picks are in order. Get the money right, because we still gonna have, once we release Kirk, we still gonna have that dead cap there for that 1 year, or they gonna split it up into 2 seasons. But either way, the majority of that dead cap hit for Kirk Cousins is gonna be here in 2026. So I wouldn't be mad at a rebuild either. You know, just come here and just get ourselves ready for 2027, and then just take off from that point going forward. But we'll see. We'll see what Matt Ryan and the general manager and the head coach decide they're gonna do. But it's been real, y'all, man. I appreciate y'all time. Like I said, if anything happens next week, which it probably will, we'll come back on here and we'll talk about it. Y'all have a good week. Peace.